Y'all, coming back with another Hit With Me session. So this week we're going to put a focus on this routine for players that want to blow their shoulder, or we'll typically say yank with the back, or another thing that helps with that is like a trunk decel. And so what I mean by that is people that blow the shoulder or yank with their back, you'll see them at contact be way over rotated with their trunk. They'll be facing towards their shortstop, third base coach here with their trunk. Where you see a lot of people that decel the trunk, like Trout does a good job, like Tatis does a pretty good job. You got Castellanos does a pretty good job, where you'll see his upper body stop for a split second and his hands keep going. We call that a trunk decel. And also too, that really helps with hitters, like the trunk decel thought. Hitters keep from pulling their shoulder and their first moving out, which they lose some direction, they cut balls, stuff like that. And so the whole focus for this session is to help players who pull their shoulder off the ball, yank with their back. And so we're going to put a focus on the trunk decel to help with that. And so the very first drill we're going to do is off the tee. We're going to go short bat, and I'm going to go their front arm. And so what we're going to work on here is not even rotating my trunk. I just want my trunk to stay facing this camera right ahead, or the other batter's box, wherever it may be. I'm going to take my back arm, I'm going to put it right behind my back. I'm actually going to fold it behind my back like this here. It's going to bring me some stability here, because if my arm's out like this, it's going to add some slack back in my body. So I'm going to cross it back behind my arm, get some stability, and I'm just going to go my front hand here. And I don't want my trunk to rotate, I just want my front arm to fire and disassociate from my trunk here. And so just going to take a few swings here, just my front arm, like that. And these are pretty tough for hitters that don't want to disassociate, or they want to yank with the back. Their back's kind of their driver. This one's a pretty tough drill for me. I like to over rotate with my trunk quite a bit, being a little bit looser, and that's kind of my driver. And so this is a good drill. And it can kind of be tough too, because you're not rotating much at all, and you're not really focused on how hard you hit the ball. It's more about the ability to disassociate here and just send my arm forward and capture that energy because my trunk's stopping. So like I said, not really too focused on how hard I hit the ball, where I hit the ball, more focused on my body not rotating and just sending my arm forward and sending the barrel forward without my trunk rotating. A couple more. Last one here. Psych, I meant last one here. It was pretty tough. First move wanted to be here. My bat path wanted to cut across, wanted to come out this way. So keep my trunk towards the camera, just send my arm. Like that. And I'm gonna grab my regular bat. What I'm gonna do here, we're gonna call these stop swings. And so with these, all I'm gonna do is go from launch, and all I want to feel is when I finish, I actually can kind of call these directional or like point swings as well, is I want to point the head of the bat where the ball goes and really focus on that. And again, not really worried about how hard I hit the ball, where I hit it. I just want to point the head of the bat where the ball goes, and so I'm not over rotating with my trunk past that point. So again, from launch off the tee, point or stop swings. And again, with these, it can be pretty easy to push push the barrel here. You still want to swing the barrel, you just want to stop it. And so you're still trying to strike the ball, still trying to hit the ball flush. You don't want to push your hands. You still want to strike it, you just want to stop afterwards. Really focus on that decel. Few more of these off the tee. Then we'll go to some side toss. And so again, viewing these first couple drills as like a warm-up set, like when you're in the weight room. I'm not really turning on my engine, not trying to fire 110% here. Just trying to do the move. Start to get a feel for what's difficult, feel for what's easy for me, so I know what adjustments to make, and really kind of activate some things. When I do these stop swings and these points, it really helps me activate my anterior oblique sling, this line across my body, to fire more, whereas when I'm not stopping, I want to go with my back more. And so these first couple drills, viewing them kind of more of like an activation, get myself ready to take my normal swing later in the session here. One more. Cool, so I'm gonna take this tee out now. Okay, so now from side toss, so the direction's like just off the camera over here right in front of me. From side toss here, we're gonna do rapid toss. So he's gonna do 3 to 4 tosses, you know, quick, back to back to back to back here. And my goal is to try to hit a line drive on every single one of them. And so this can be tough. If I want to spin or I want to over rotate with my trunk at all, it's going to be really hard to get back and hit that next pitch flush. And I'll feel rushed and I'll feel like it's very difficult. And so again, this is focused on decelling, and with the decel, that can keep me out of my back, keep me from pulling my shoulder, keep my direction more towards the middle part of the field here. And so, you know, side toss, rapid toss here. So another thing with rapid toss is something that hitters can do as like a compensation is sometimes they'll get very round their body and spinny and want to load their shoulders. And so something that we'll sometimes recommend is as they hit, they come back over their head. Here it can be another decel, send my arms forward, and then they come back and wrap around my head. Whereas like that last round, what I did is I'd hit it, but then I'd load my shoulders back and I didn't really get my hips loaded at all. And so again, it's not always recommended, but sometimes when you see hitters loading their shoulders and going really laterally like this across their body, and that can cause them to actually yank with their back or pull their shoulders. So that can be a different cue while doing rapid tosses to whip it back over their head to get ready for the next pitch. So I'm gonna do that this time, a little bit of a variation that you can try with their hitters too. So let's do one more round of rapid toss. That was a little bit better. Didn't so much yank with the back. Got a good decel. That can actually be another cue as well. I had a coach tell me one time in junior college to try that feel while I was in the cage when I hit, to like whip it back over my head, and that was just to get me from over rotating as well. It's not something that I did in game, but it was something to feel during BP. To feel like all that energy getting transferred into the ball and I wasn't spinning off the ball and blowing my shoulder. So let's do one more round of rapid toss here, doing it like that over the head, and then we'll go on to the next drill. Okay, so now we're gonna go front toss here. I'm gonna go back to the single arm drill, just kind of progress what the ball is doing. So instead of being side toss here off the tee, we're gonna go front toss. Still, same focus, just want my arm to go, keep my trunk towards the camera this way, stay square, really work on disassociating and letting that lead arm go without my trunk rotating here. So we'll take a few here, just my front arm, again, right arm crossed back behind my body. A little rotation. Good one. Good. So sometimes a good cue for this as well, something that worked for me when I played, was as I'm getting into contact, sometimes thinking about my upper body actually turning back towards the catcher. Something because I want to drive so much with my back is I'd have to over cue. And so sometimes the thought of just staying sideways wasn't enough, but actually creating the motion back the opposite direction to help with that cue or help with that move. And so like that last one there, my thought and my cue to tell myself was, as I got into contact, to think about my shoulders actually going back the other way to keep me from driving and really send that energy into the barrel and into that ball. So a couple more, same thought. Cool. Okay, so this round, just gonna go front toss. We're gonna go heavy balls here. And so the only focus here is really being braced and feeling like I'm striking this ball like a punching bag or like a tire, you know, like old school, you know, like hitting a tire, striking like a tree trunk with an axe, something along those lines of really being braced at contact and not over rotating and being in like a barrel drag position because I'm yanking with my back or blowing my shoulder. And so I'm gonna go for some launch with heavy balls and just really focus on being braced at contact and staying through it. Yeah, and so you'll see these heavy balls, if you over rotate with the trunk or you're gonna go with your back, like I was talking about, you'll get in that barrel drag position if this is my first move. My barrel's back here, and now my bat path wants to cut across. And so you'll see kind of the feedback of the ball will almost look like pancake-ish. So can you toss me a ball real quick? And so you'll see the ball kind of like flatten out like this and get mushed and like spin out, and it'll start to sputter. Whereas when you stay through the ball and you're really braced and make flush contact with it, it'll stay solid and it'll travel a lot better. And so just for feedback with these heavy balls, kind of what you're looking for and how you know when you did a pretty good move or when you squared it up was flush and you were braced at contact. Couple more. One more. Cool. All right, so last drill is just regular balls, and we're gonna call these stop swings. And so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit a regular ball from launch, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop my swing out front. Sometimes we'll do what we call bat drops, where you hit it and then you wanna drop it out front. But just for the sake of the drill here, because not a lot of people like to drop their bat, especially like expensive metal bats, we'll do stop swings where you stop it out front. Regroup, kind of remember some of the cues that I used earlier in the session of my shoulders going back at contact, and then also too like the rapid toss feel of letting my hands like whip around my head, feeling like my trunk stopping, keeping me from going with my back, and just letting my arms get sent forward. Something that you hear like a lot of coaches will say is throw your hands at the ball. And so really what's happening is this trunk stopping, and then late in the swing, because the trunk stops, my hands and my arms get sent forward because I'm hitting the brakes with my trunk, and it's sending all that energy into the lead arm, the arms, and the bat. And so that thought too can be a good one, is like throwing my hands at the ball. Something that it can cause is under rotation. And so again, for me, I like to over rotate. So I tend to have to think or err on the side of under rotation. But also too, some hitters that do under rotate, like for example, Brandon here, sometimes he tends to under rotate, and it causes him to yank with the back a little bit. And so, you know, this may not be a good cue for everybody, but for me who wants to over rotate, it's a pretty good cue. So remembering shoulder back as I get into contact, like back towards the catcher, and then also to that thought of like whipping it over my head. I'm gonna play around with a couple of those thoughts here and see if I can get a little bit better move with the upper half here. That was the thinking back towards the catcher. Gonna try the whip over the head feel. Hey, lost the mic. Sometimes when you be juicing, you be juicing. Here we go. All right, a couple more. Like that feel. That feels working for me better today. The whipping over the head. So I'm gonna stick with that for a few more here. Really work on not getting that back activated, but staying here with my front side and just letting my arms go because I'm decelling my trunk here. Take a few regular swings from launch. Gonna get this to transfer over into my regular swing. So a little live look at kind of how we progress through. Start pretty far away from what the normal swing would look like. We started with one hand. Then we got to more like launch position, side toss, rapid toss. Never in the game where you get 4 pitches back to back to back. And as we kind of progress forward, we get closer and closer to the regular swing. And so that's kind of how we blend and progress the swing back up to the normal swing here. And so now we're going to go regular swing and see if some of these drills really work. Help me spot my trunk a little bit. That's it for today. Whole focus on today's session was to help hitters that like to blow the shoulder back. First move will be like this, and they come out and away. So what you'll see a lot of the times is they stride. They'll want to stride open because the first move's out like this. And so hitters that yank at the back or they blow that front shoulder out and away, causing them to barrel drag, lose some direction, lose some spacing in the swing. And so kind of focus on the trunk decel and that initial thought being the trunk stopping and sending the arms forward without the trunk rotating, which will get my back not activated and get my obliques over here in the front of my body to activate. Keeping more to the middle part of the field, maintain some direction, get the barrel out, and so we started off with the one-hand drill, arm behind the back, really keep my chest straight, then we get the point swings here up the D, and then the whole focus wasn't to hit the ball hard, just do the move, stop my trunk, keep it sideways, try not to rotate, really get the material activated, which will really help me get it off. If this goes and this is firing predominantly, then I'm rotating more into my front side here, and my first move isn't out with my back, and so trying to get that activated. Then we went side toss, some rapid toss, and then we went to front toss here. We also did some heavy balls, worked on being braced, changed up some cues, more of like that whip over the head rather than the thinking back towards the catcher as I hit. Really helped me stop from using my back and send my arms forward. Or like the cue of throwing my hands at the ball like some old school coaches like to use. And then finally at the end, did some stop swings and then some regular swings where I was just trying to feel myself decel, and as a byproduct, I had that little whip action over my head with the bat. And so those are some good drills, some good cues for you if you kind of blow the shoulder or you yank with the back, losing some direction with your upper half there. And so again, not all these cues are perfect for every hitter. If you already under rotate or you don't use your body at all and you just throw your hands, some of these cues and drills may not be for you. You may actually have to think about turning or rotating or releasing your hips or letting yourself rotate a little bit more. But for hitters that tend to blow the shoulder, yank with the back, this could be a really good drill for them, or a routine for them, and some good cues for them to help them out. And so again, anybody that has anything that they prefer for future sessions to work on, comment and reach out, let us know so we know that we can help you, because that's why we do these. We want to do these so we can help you guys out with what you guys are struggling with, and then really attack some compensations to help you guys get better in any way possible, and kind of build a cage routine to help you take it to the field. So if you guys have any ideas, shoot them our way, send us some comments, send us emails, DMs, anything like that. But until next time.